Welcome back to the Blue Review. Greg Bergman, Clinton Yates, and on Clinton Yates underscore for the around the horn, it still does not say Blue Review. So we're gonna get you there at some point.
Look, but I just want you guys to know I'm a real live TV star. See all these TVs in the background? That's what it looks like in TV studios. I'm
It's
joking.
a much better look than yesterday's
Yeah,
blurred screen that we had going on back there.
that was not by design. So it's good to see you, Greg. How are you?
It's good to see you too, buddy. All right, so let's get right to this here. So I think we were talking about it a little bit earlier before the show, but I think we need to talk about the one guy that we think really needs to step up for this year's Dodgers team. For me specifically, it's going to be Chris Taylor. This dude last year, it was a strikeout machine. He has been a strikeout machine. And over the last 2 days, he's hit home runs. So maybe he's starting to figure something out at the plate. But that's a big deal for this team to have because of his positionality, because of the way he can play infield, outfield. And he really needs to be at the plate doing something that, other guys that we're not sure what they're going to do on a daily basis, Rojas, Vargas, Outman, what they're going to be. Chris Taylor needs to be that solidifying force for the batting order. For me.
I think that's true for a couple different reasons. Number one, for himself. Number two, again, if this team is going to be successful, somebody's got to be good.
Yeah.
And Chris Taylor falls into that category where you have a lot of other question marks, as you mentioned. You can't afford to have a Chris Taylor just being sort of a middling guy. That's not something that's available anymore,
No, if he's batting around 200 and he has 175 strikeouts, that means it's not going well for him. He needs to be batting. I mean, I know batting average is not the most important thing. It's more on base percentage, slugging, all that nonsense. But if he is not being the guy that we signed him to that big deal for, it's going to be a problem for the rest of this lineup. And I think that's a huge, huge portion for him.
Now, to that point, I'll go with my guy. I think it's Tony Gonsolin. Now, it is not dissimilar in that I think he's got to have a big year, but it is dissimilar in the sense of he had a great year last year. He was an all-star. He was arguably a career year. Those wins are not just something you can assume going forward for 2023. If he's not the guy he was last year, coming off of injury, I know it's an ankle thing. Thankfully, it's not an arm. Well, then, again, the wins readout looks a little different. These W's have to come from somewhere. This dude was undefeated at the All-Star break, finished 16-1. That's hard to replace. And I'm not saying that he has not done well. What I'm saying is if he can stay at that level, the Dodgers have a much better chance of this. Otherwise, you don't really know because again, it's not a freak year, but it is not something you necessarily expected. If I told you at this point last season that Tony Gonsolin was going to do that, you'd have been like, yeah, sure. Take me all the way to Vegas with that. You know what I mean? And they still need him to be that guy. So, it's a bit of a freak injury, but I do think that if they're expecting to be where they want to be, I mean this in terms of regular season wins at this point, Greg, what happens in the playoffs is another matter. But if you want to be in that 90 to 100 win zone, if you're getting random 16 win games out of guys like Tony Gonsolin, you can get there. If you don't, it's a little different story. So I think he is very important this season as far as what that staff can do overall.
And just so we're all aware, he's supposed to be back at the end of April. They're bringing him along slowly because of that left ankle injury, where it was so random too. The way he did it, he was just in practice, like it wasn't in a game. He just twisted the ankle, sprained the ankle. So now they're hoping that he's back at the end of April. And also, like last year, he was probably going to be the Cy Young if he didn't get injured at the end of the year. That was a huge loss, even for the playoffs. Against San Diego, he would have been much better if he was actually ramped up and ready to go in those games. So
totally agree.
Yep. No, I'm with you. I love that one. So I think those two for us for this year, those are the X factors, if you want to go about it. Chris Taylor, Tony Gonsolin. I think we're on the same page. Now, last night or yesterday, did you see what happened when Michael Busch hit a home run with the dog? You said you love to chalk talk dogs catching balls. Give me some. What do you got?
Okay, a couple things happened on this play. First of all, I went with that. We actually talked about this on the TV show. Secondly, the vibe out in left field. I mean, people are out there splayed out on blankets, just chilling, to the point that nary a human caught the ball. A dog picked this thing up, and his handler, who, by the way, had a jersey that said K9 on it,
right?
Which is a little weird. Is that? I'm like, if you got K9, you don't need to dash between the K and the 9, but it was funny, and I liked it, and I just thought that was really cool. Like, more dogs at the ballpark is a good thing in general. I know they do it like once a season, but in spring training, it seems like a perfect vibe. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, they got that bark in the park or whatever they call it, where they get to run around on the
Yes.
field afterwards. But I love that. That's the great thing about spring training, just in general. They're just guys just having a blast. The fact that you can be out on a blanket out in center field is amazing, just in itself. So that's the good thing about what happened yesterday. There was also a really bad thing that happened yesterday. There's absolutely insanity. JT Realmuto of the Phillies was playing the Yankees, and he went to reach back and have the umpire give him the ball, and he moved his hand away so fast that the umpire dropped the ball. What happened next? That was so annoying.
Okay, so that guy, Casey, dang it, I should know his name. I just said it. I can't remember his name. He's a minor league umpire. And Randy. He's a minor league umpire. And so what happened was this. Earlier in the AB, the pitcher, the time was called in the middle of a pitch, basically, during his windup. And he ended up getting really mad about it, the pitcher, and threw the ball like way left, just out of frustration. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? You can't stop time that. Next pitch, he gets a pitch clock violation. Kimbrel called on him, and it was a quick whistle, Greg. Like, if this was the NFL, that clock would have not have been at double zeros. That play would have gotten off. Immediately bangs him for a pitch clock violation. Okay, throws the ball back. The umpire threw the ball back previously in the at-bat. So when JT Realmuto reaches back and he doesn't feel for the ball, he assumes the guy's throwing the ball. Nope. He gets run. And I'm like, bro, you cannot throw somebody out of a game for that. Even if he did do it on purpose, that is not an ejectable offense, in my opinion. And, not to give too much away here, but somebody on the television program today said this: big substitute teacher energy. You assume that the kids are acting out because you don't know them, when in fact they're really just trying to get through the day, and you're doing extrajudicious stuff. That was a bad look, man. If that dude ever wants to umpire another game at the big league level, he's gonna have to get it together.
He absolutely shouldn't. But that's a very much, we're here to see the ump show. We're not here to see one of the best catchers in all of baseball and JT Realmuto. We're not here to see Phillies, Yankees. We're here to see the guy behind the plate throw out one of the best catchers in baseball because he was being rude. Like, what are we talking about here? Absolute
Fun fact:
nonsense.
First career ejection for JT Realmuto.
Well, yeah, you don't get ejected very often. This is not like in basketball where you're stepping onto the court. You don't get ejected very much in baseball. So for him to be able to do that, it was just absolute nonsense. But all right, man, I think that was pretty much everything we got for today. Are you good?
I'm great, buddy.
Yep. All right. Well, that is episode number 2 of the Blue Review. Clinton Yates in his nice studio with all the different cameras. Maybe we can get him to have the under level thing to say Blue Review one day this week. We're going to try it. I'm going to try and get you to do it one time, Clinton. All right. For Greg,
maybe.
We'll see you guys.